It's called Powering Integrated Marketing Communication Ideas, and it really came about 3 years ago when the Associate Dean of IMC, Tom Collinger, asked me to speak to the class, an expanded class, about creativity. And rather than take the easy route out, which was going to be just show some great advertising or other brand communication and tell an interesting story about it or tell the strategy behind it, I decided to probe deeper into some of the top creative people that I worked with. And I worked in the advertising business for like 34 years. I worked for some great agencies, some great brands, and some great brand communications, highlighted by the "What's Up" phenomenon for Budweiser. And I went to that creative director. I went to other creative directors that I worked with, and I said, do you have a process for creativity, for coming up with ideas? And lo and behold, many of them referenced this book, this yellowed book written in 1940. And they said, well, you've read James Webb Young's book, haven't you? And I'm like, what? And here in this little book, I uncovered things that I wish I would have known about 34 years ago when I started in the agency business. So it's become kind of a passion of mine. The 4As, the American Association of Advertising Agencies, I do a seminar for them. I travel the country. And it's all about powering ideas. Actually, the title of that seminar is Powering Creativity Outside of the Creative Department. Because it's everybody's responsibility for ideas. And a simple process like this, although I've since studied maybe 25 other books, and certainly Steve Jobs is a master or was a master at this, and so that's what led to this chapter, and it was great to get it all down. So we're taught how to be linear thinkers, how to be analytical thinkers, but there's very little training on how to be a creative thinker, and so that's and it's not only is it good for your brands, that you work on for your own brand, but it's something that can help you throughout life in any, addressing issues and coming up with more creative solutions, more effective solutions, more powerful solutions. And it's good for what to do when your plumbing gets disrupted, or when your brand needs some help. Again, I was lucky enough to be involved with some really terrific ideas, most of those on Budweiser that I managed the advertising for 15 years. And the phenomenon, the "What's Up", also Clydesdales. We took Clydesdales out of the normal Christmas card, this "Bud's for you" type of thing, to having them play football. And then other ideas for the Chicago Tribune, advertising I managed. But pretty much I look back now that I understand that there is a process for creative thinking, and I realize that there were no new ideas. And Steve Jobs will say that, or Steve Jobs, you ask a creative person how they came up with that idea, and they're a little embarrassed because they really just put things together in new ways. They connected dots in ways that they hadn't been connected before. And so that's key for any student to understand. Creativity is not the aha moment that just happens out of the blue. It's pretty much taking an idea, evolving the idea, twisting it in a new way. That's what "What's Up" was. It was just buddies just hanging out, having a good time, and buddy banter. Well, it was just done in a way that's never been done before. Clydesdales playing football was, just basically taking the power and the masculinity of a brand icon, Budweiser, and combining it with, what do they do on their days off? And they play touch football, tackle football, really, and combining those. So there's no new ideas. It's just new combinations of existing ideas. I think the marketing communications business is fascinating because it's unlimited by physical things. It's totally ideas. And especially now, it's never been more interesting with the proliferation of brands in the marketplace, the hyperspeed advance of communication techniques. digital, and who knows what's going to happen 15 minutes from now. So you've got this, you got the fragmentation of audiences, you've got the fragmentation of media, you got proliferation of brands and communications, and it really, you've got to have like a really solid idea behind what you're doing. And when you come up with, when you have that, and then you tell stories that are rooted in consumer truths and consumer insights, it can be very, very powerful, and it's completely not limited. It's completely unlimited to just ideas, and so that's why it's so important to be able to understand that everybody's responsible for those ideas. Also, it's just not coming up with an idea, it's building on ideas. Again, an example like Was Up, or more recently, the Old Spice, The Man Your Man Could Smell Like, and also Allstate's Mayhem campaign. Multifaceted campaigns that people built on. Somebody had that germ of an idea, and then others said, hey, that's good. It's like improv. Yes and, yes and, yes and. And people built these incredibly powerful ideas by just adding even better ideas on top of ideas. You know, John Levine has this quote, I wish I knew the exact percentage, but it's something like, the jobs that our incoming students get haven't even been invented yet, or X percent of them, a significant percent. So looking at that crystal ball, it's like, who the heck knows? That's why if students understand how to think, understand the basic underlying theories of integrated marketing and communications, which is basically understanding consumers and understanding brands and understanding communication vehicles, or staying current with communication, or trying to think ahead. There's a famous quote, Wayne Gretzky's, you skate to where the puck's going to be. And those who understand, who can read trends, read what's happening out there, read tea leaves, be smart, be collecting, and be curious about life, be collecting, as Steve Jobs called it, collecting nuggets, collecting dots. You never can connect dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So I would advise students to be, they're here because they're curious about life, or they're reading this book because they're curious, and just keep that flame going, and they'll have more dots to connect. In writing this chapter, one of the first things, or in studying, idea generation, one of the first things I did was, so what is an idea? And Merriam-Webster, says pretty, a formulated thought. So that's pretty good. Okay, that's what an idea is. But then the power of the crowd, Wikipedia, says the crowd said, the capacity to create and understand the meaning of ideas is an essential and defining feature of human beings. That's pretty good. I might add an essential and defining feature of good integrated marketing communications practitioners and students. There's also, people ask about what is an idea. It's not necessarily a tagline, or even an execution, or a press release, or something like that. It's really this concept that can build on through the years, a long-lasting concept. Some of the best ones are MasterCard. Their idea, this integrating idea, it's been 15 years and counting. Some things are priceless. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And it tapped into 15 years ago or 18 years ago, a very smart insight about materialism and the importance of experiential things, and MasterCard was first there, and look at the power of that idea through time. So easy a baby can do it, so easy a caveman can do it. Those are integrating ideas. Stop thinking about it and effing do it. I mean, look at how, those are, the effing part they took out, but that was the way it was originally presented to Nike many, many years ago. And look at that integrating idea. That's a good one. For people who think differently, Apple, that's been part of Apple's essence for, way, way, way back. Spread happiness around the world, Coca-Cola's idea. The low-cost airline with the personality, that's a strong one. Real beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. That was a very strong Dove idea. And even the Corona thing, find your own beach, really has been around for as long as that brand. So those are what ideas are. It's not an execution, it's more of an underlying foundation for a brand communication.